Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Jeanne Francine. We are following some breaking news at this hour. Right now, I want to take you out live to Nairobi, Kenya. This is something we've been following since early this morning. Protesters taking to the streets. They are against a proposed tax increase, and we're learning now at 8:19 here on the East Coast. They are now entering parliamentary buildings. We have seen conflict with authorities and officials there on the ground, some pushing, some back and forth. I'm going to pot up the audio so we can listen in. This coming in from our content partners at Reuters via Citizen TV. I will say viewer discretion is advised. You can see smoke there in the background. We've been seeing, again, some tussling, some back and forth, things getting very heated there in Nairobi, Kenya, as these protesters aren't too happy about that proposed tax increase. Let's watch all of this unfold.
Being loaded into the ambulances. We see police exercise some sort of restraint on this side as protesters now march with the bodies along Parliament Road. But even on the other side of Parliament, that is affecting Wolfpack, police are still with protesters who want again to gain that end, which is in their way to Parliament. We've seen them carrying.
That is Stephen Leto explaining what was transpiring in and around Parliament. We did see a police truck on fire outside Parliament. We will seek to find out how far, if indeed, the protesters breached Parliament's precincts. Stephen, how far did the protesters get within Parliament's precincts, if indeed they breached?
Are also visible on this end. So that is what we can see outside here. But members of Parliament are marooned inside Parliament because they cannot get out. But some of them, we have seen vehicles taking the newly built tunnel that connects Parliament to the new Bunge Towers that is just adjacent across. Some of the members of Parliament who tried to cross the road met, angry protesters who were shouting at them that Wasaliti over the finance bill that was passed a while ago in the National Assembly. But even on the side of the sky, we can see police, we can see, helicopter surveillance just around Parliament, and just assuming that this is not the end of the engagement to the police, because more protesters we see continue to surge towards the side of Parliament.
Then we also have Seth Olale, who is in Parliament. Seth, if you can hear me, where in Parliament are you and what are you able to tell us? Seth Olale, can you hear me? Where are you within Parliament and what can you tell us? Sorry, it appears we cannot, Seth Olale cannot hear me, but we will continue to attempt to reach him. But earlier we had Stephen Leto tell us that protesters did indeed breach Parliament's precincts. And Seth Olale, can you hear me now? Seth Olale, can you hear me?
If you're just now tuning into Live Now from Fox, I want to give a description of what you're taking a live look at. So you're taking a live look there in Nairobi, Kenya. The feed that you're getting is courtesy of Citizen TV. So you're getting audio from people there on the ground, those who are seeing all of this unfold. A lot of chaos, you can imagine, those working inside of this Parliament building, coming outside and seeing all of these protests, and then learning that some of the protesters are actually trying to enter these Parliament buildings. And to give you some perspective as to why all of this chaos is happening there this Tuesday morning, it's been going on for several weeks. Protesters upset with the local government about a proposed tax increase. I can tell you last week the protests did get very violent. We learned from people there on the ground at least one person died in that protest, learning that officials had to retaliate and a lot happened. But right now they're doing another interview with a reporter who is there on the ground. Let's continue to watch this unfold.
We saw quite a number of MPs being overwhelmed. Some, unfortunately, like fainting or just collapsing in that particular stampede, because what happened immediately Parliament building was invaded by, not so sure if they were protesters or not, but after that particular invasion, what happened is that MPs started campaigning for safety. Some were going upstairs, others managed to go towards the basement in order to reach. And right now the situation is even getting worse. The number of police officers who are attempting just to come to rescue members of parliament. We are still trapped here at basement 2 and basement 1. Following this particular place, we're being told that a section of parliament building is already on fire. I'm yet to confirm, but according to a security officer who's just come to join us right now where we are at basement 2, he says that he can confirm that a section of buildings inside parliament buildings have actually been set on fire. Right now we can see an ambulance that is now coming, and right now we can see that is the Speaker of the Senate, Amason Kingi, being evacuated in an ambulance under heavy security.
That was Seth Olale speaking to us from Parliament precincts. He is in the basement, and that explains the quality of the connection. But he did say he was in the company of members of Parliament who had been evacuated on account of fears for their safety. He did say he had received reports that a section of Parliament had been set ablaze, and he was saying something to do with the Senate Speaker, Amason Kingi, being evacuated in an ambulance. But he will provide further detail once we are able to reach him. Earlier we had from Stephen Leto. So we do have Stephen Leto and Seth Olale within Parliament's precincts, painting a picture of what has happened. We've seen protests across the country, not just in Nairobi. Nakuru, we saw protests. Kitengela, we saw protests. We saw protests again in Mombasa. In an escalation of the protests we saw on Thursday, unlike the peaceful protests we've witnessed so far, this time round there were stones, objects flying from either. There was a heavy security presence, but the protesters managed to make their way, as you heard there from Stephen Leto and Seth Olale, to within Parliament's precincts. We are now joined by Emmanuel To. You are outside Parliament. Has the situation calmed down? What are you witnessing?
Well, thank you very much. We are along Parliament Road, where the police are just engaging some of these protesters, and there are two bodies that are still lying on this Parliament Road within the CBD, just outside Parliament, and the ambulances from Red Cross and others have been picking some along City Hallway, and it seems that the police have shot a few protesters who are here. Have counted at least 3 as I was walking towards this part of Parliament, and the demonstrators have also torched some of the vehicles that were being used by the police, and some of the water cannons were being used to put off some of the fires that had been put on during that stampede that was witnessed. I'm seeing the members of the police, including Adamson Bungei, who is also one of the senior officers in Nairobi County, is here at the scene, and some of those who are protesting are still wailing, just asking why the police had to shoot some to the head, straight to the head, and it is very ugly thing, and we are trying to just understand what is happening. But the demonstrators have been able to overrun the security protocol that was here, and also breaking the fence that is just the Parliament fence, and some part of the Parliament building has caught fire towards the side, housing some of the offices of those leaders of the House and some of the rooms where committee meetings are normally held. And so we're just monitoring the situation, but that is the situation as is right now. Police are still using tear gas to disperse some of the protesters who have camped around here. I beg your pardon. I have to leave, but that's the latest we have from here. Back to you.
Thank you for that update, Emmanuel. So you can see there in those pictures that the police commander, Nairobi County, Adamson Bungei, is on site, and he is outside Parliament's precincts. We saw their protesters as well, and Emmanuel Cho has told us that they're asking why police had to fatally shoot the protesters. Leto tells us there are at least, I beg your pardon, Emmanuel Cho tells us that there are some who have been shot fatally and an unknown number outside Parliament. But he did say that part of Parliament's fence had been damaged, and that part of Parliament had caught fire. The side, he said, that houses offices of Parliament offices. So that is what we have from Emmanuel Cho. So we've got an update so far from Stephen Leto, Seth Olale, as well as Emmanuel Cho outside Parliament, though he had to leave. Let's listen in and get a sense of what is transpiring.
If you're just now tuning into Live Now from Fox, I want to explain what you're taking a live look at. So we're live in Nairobi, Kenya. Right now, we are partnering with Citizen TV, getting their feed as there is breaking news on that end. Protesters against a proposed tax increase have taken to the streets, now entering Parliament buildings. We're told a portion of one Parliament building there has been set on fire. Reporters there on the ground saying they saw two bodies lying on the ground. They do say that this is a fatal incident, so no word if those two bodies are the ones that are actually deceased from this incident or if it happened outside. But you can see a very active and chaotic situation. First responders and officials there at the scene. We are told that emergency personnel are there, but you can see with the police department, they are there in full tactical gear with their batons. They are deploying tear gas. And we know that last week, when all of this unfolded, there was also a death with a protest. So this is a very compelling and chaotic situation there in Nairobi, Kenya. Again, all of this happening because protesters are upset with the local government about a proposed tax increase. They don't want their taxes to go up. And so they've taken to the streets to exercise this protest, and unfortunately it has gotten deadly. All of this unfolding, we did hear from reporters outside of the Parliament building and inside. One of the reporters in the basement of the Parliament building, his phone call dropped as he was doing an interview. And then you can see there on your screen that guy with this orange hoodie shooting into the sky. So just a lot going on. Let's continue to watch all of this unfold. And again, other voices that you hear besides mine are from local reporters and those media partners with Citizen TV who are explaining this breaking news alert.
Ninapiga hapa magoti, nataka risasi. Kama ndio mmetuma mfanye, fanyeni hivyo. Fanyeni hivyo. Nakupiga bure. Nakupiga bure. Nakupiga bure. Kwenda wapi? Kwenda wapi? Tunawatetea. Tunawatetea. Who's the commander here?
So right there was just a true example of the chaotic scene. You could see those sitting outside of the Parliament building, getting into an altercation with police, and then they drew their batons and literally smacked that person who was sitting there. So as we continue to follow this breaking news alert out of Nairobi, Kenya, if you're just now tuning in, good morning to you. You're taking a live look in Kenya as protesters have taken to the streets against a proposed tax increase. They have now entered Parliament buildings. We're told that part of Parliament is set on fire. We're also told that there are bodies laying on the ground inside. Deaths have been reported from this, along with a death from last week. And now we're getting a live look inside of the Parliament building. Viewer discretion is advised. You can see broken windows and shattered glass. Again, we have been told that there were 2 bodies inside, so we are taking a close look at this feed. We don't want to show anything that's disrespectful or that could be harmful to watch. And actually, as they are walking through, since we haven't been told what they're about to show, we are going to take a quick 2-minute commercial break. And when we come back, continuing with your Tuesday morning breaking news headlines, top stories, and live events of the day.